Welcome back, guys. We have an interesting project today. We're going to be doing some flux core welding, some stick welding. We're going to be working with some Weld Thru primer. We're going to be doing some cutting, some grinding, and some fabrication. Stick around. We recently did some repairs on this customer's trailer. It had rolled over. This side, when it rolled over, it had ripped this side off. It was at like a 30-degree angle. We got it repaired by cutting back to all the structural metal, and then we welded that in. But because this customer has sideboards on this, it's causing additional stress on the sides, so they want some reinforcement added to this to help keep the sides from blowing out. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie the sides in with the back. I'll remove this tailgate and show you a little bit more in detail. I'm going to put a strip all across the back and tie that in, and then a strip up the sides, and we got to cut off all these tabs because we can't just go butting it up to it. You'll see why here in a minute. Let me get this tailgate off and I'll show you what I mean. So if you look right here, this is 1 inch by 3 inch channel. So you got a 1 inch by 3 inch here. This is plated over here, obviously, and this is 1/8 inch tube on the sides that's also sheeted over here. This side connects to this piece right here, and there's only 1 inch of horizontal here that keeps this from blowing out. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut these tabs off, and then I'm going to run a plate all the way across, continuous, and weld it all along here so that this side is all built up right here. So it'll overlap this joint right here, and so that there's not a space between the tailgate, because we're building the bottom and out 1/8 of an inch, I'll put plate up the trailer as well to fill in that little bit of a gap. And we're going to do the same thing on this side, and you can see over here that they've actually welded this up. So this is obviously broke off before, and you can see this weld's actually broken. Looks like something has struck it to tear it apart. We got a little bit of work to do. First thing we're going to do is get these tabs cut off the trailer. Just to show you how these brackets are built, there's a little brace under this bottom, and they're welded, looks like top and bottom. A couple ways I could do this. I could torch them off. I could use a zip disc on a grinder, but I'm going to hopefully try to reuse these. So I'm going to try to make my kerf on the cut as thin as possible. I think the best way to do that is just going to be using a portable bandsaw. That should give me the thinnest cut. Hopefully I can cut right along the edge of that plate. I don't really have the clearances that I need to get that portable bandsaw in there, so I'm going to go with a zip disc next. And that's why we have guards on our equipment, guys. That wheel just exploded. And that was also a reminder to me to put on a shield. Now we'll get that cleaned up to bare metal. Hey, you can probably get a lot better idea of what we're doing now when there's weight on this sideboard over here. This sideboard wants to go out. So it's going to be trying to rip open here and close up here. So it's acting as a hinge down here. So it's going to want to go this way. What we're going to do is put a 3-inch plate all the way across from that side all the way over, overlap it right onto this, so we can weld it all the way around here, here, and on the bottom. So that's going to add some more strength to this to keep it so it doesn't want to rip apart. Now I got these all cleaned up and ready to weld. Probably wire brush them everywhere too, just before we start. Now we'll get an outside to outside measurement on this. 79.5. Do it again. Measure twice, cut once. 79.5. Right here. And since I got my portable bandsaw out, might as well use that to cut it. Yeah, that'll work good, guys. Now I'm just going to go over everything lightly with a flap disc. Whenever you're going to plate over something, it's always a good idea to cover up the bare edges with a Weld Thru primer. And what Weld Thru primer is, it's basically just a high zinc content primer. It's good to protect the metal so it's not rusting in between, but you also don't want to breathe the fumes in while you're welding it. So you should wear a respirator or make sure you're outside, one or the other. So what we're going to do is we're going to prime these bare spots with the Weld Thru primer. That's this right here. We're going to get this side also, then we're going to do the back side of this plate. Stuff dries really quick too, like 10 or 15 minutes and it's ready to be used. I'm going to hit it with a second coat just so we got some good coverage. I'm kind of spraying it real close too so I minimize my overspray everywhere. You can probably now get a better idea of how that's going to work. That's going to strengthen this whole corner by being able to weld all the way around this, preventing that from rocking over. You can see I got a little gap here. Now I just got to squeeze this together. Then we'll start stitching it along this edge, just holding it flush along the bottom. What we'll end up doing is we'll end up welding this whole edge out on the top, just so when they're dumping things, it doesn't end up catching this lip and ripping it off. So I got these nice tight joints here, and I've prepped along my edge far back as this clamp will go. And what I'll do is I'll get a bunch of tacks on it, then move my clamps down, prep it, get some more tacks, and kind of work my way down. To make my restrikes a lot easier, I'm going to be using some 6011 rod to do my tacks. Then I'm going to finish it out with 7018 3/32. I'd love to have had some 3/32 6011, but I don't. I've just got some 1/8 inch, but that'll work just fine. So we'll probably run this right around 85 amps to tack it. Turn it on. Great thing about this is that this machine will run off 120 volts, and you can run it off like 300 feet of cord because it has a voltage sensing circuit inside of it, and it allows for a voltage drop, and if you get voltage drop, it'll boost it up. That's one of the things that Fronius touts on this machine, is that you can run it out on 300 feet of cord, which is insane. So let's do try 85 amps. We'll give that a try. That might be a little warm, but we'll give it a go. Yeah, that's working good. But I got that tacked on there pretty good, and it's not going anywhere, at least that first half. I'm going to run right down through, clean that whole top edge up. .6011 rod is a great rod for doing stuff like this. It's not so fussy about rust, has awesome restarts, and it does a nice good root, penetrates real well. Now with all my tacks done along the top, you can see I kind of ground some of them when I was grinding this, but I'll go back through with a wire brush, grind all my tacks down so that I get all nice clean restarts, and we'll start welding this up with 7018. Then after that we'll go underneath the bottom, start welding all the bottom. Ready to start welding it up with some 7018. This should go pretty smooth. Let's turn our amperage back to 80 and see how that does, because that's going to be right on the corner of this 1x3 channel that's here. When we get over here, we're probably going to have to turn it back because these side tubes are pretty thin. Turned it up a little bit more. I'm at 85 now. I'll just round this corner off right here, but we got this all welded in all the way around. Then the next thing is we're going to put our 4-inch plate over this, so we'll have to grind these welds flush. And just like we did on the other side in this corner, I'm going to run a bead all along in there just to help strengthen it up, just to make it a little more solid. You can see how thin it is. It actually has a hole in it right there. There's actually a hole in the decking right there, but that way it'll just give it some more strength like we did in this corner. This is super thin, so we're going to end up making this stuff, guys, super thin. Now we're going to get these welds off the back of the trailer to prepare to get those 4-inch strips on it. We'll hit this with some Weld Thru primer also. Do a couple coats on it. I went ahead and stitched all up underneath, so that's all done. So I've already taken some measurements of where these were, so when I cut them off, I know where I'm going to be putting them back on. So I know that the top of the bottom tab is 1.5 inches down from the top of the rail. So from here to the top surface of this, it's 1.5 inches. From the top of this to the top of this tube is 1/4 inch. And I've signified that. And then the outside edge is flush with where this tube would have been before these people welded on this additional tube here. Now I'm probably going to MIG weld this, just because I know that this outside tube is thin and this one's thicker. That way I don't have to worry about burning through. I'm going to just stitch all this up and fully weld it down here. And that's all there is to it, guys. I got it all welded up. We're starting to lose some daylight, so I'm gonna get ready to go inside and grab some dinner. But all we got left to do is just wire brush it, get rid of the little bit of spatter and BBs everywhere, and then just go over it with a flap wheel. Make sure that there's no sharp edges everywhere. I've kind of gone over it in places here and there, and yeah, that's it. Give it a little quick coat of paint, and this should make it much more durable. You can see kind of how it like ties the sides in with the bottom a lot better. Let's throw the tailgate on it and give it a try. Like that, just like it was, but now it's better. We're back. It's the next day. I've got everything all cleaned up, brushed off my welds, painted everything, just gave it a nice quick coat of paint so it looks good. And I wanted to show you how this works, because this tailgate will flip this way or flip down like a pickup truck tailgate, because this is a dump trailer. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. This way dumps like this, and then swap this out, and then it can dump like this. I think to make it last, it should be dumped the other way, because these washers will keep the sides from blowing apart. That's all there's to it, guys. If this is something that you like, please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. New videos every Friday. So until next week, guys, I will see you then. Take care, stay safe, and God bless.